Hey everyone. Sorry it took this much time, but I was quite busy and I'm not sure if you can hear me, but I caught cold, so I might sound funny. But nonetheless, this time I wanted to take a crack at OpenStack tutorials, and mainly I was trying to find a tutorial that tells you how to set up OpenStack from scratch. So it's not, just the administrative side of things, but it also tells you how to install OpenStack, because this seems to be the biggest hurdle for people that actually want to learn how to provision OpenStack professionally in production. And it turns out there are very, very little YouTube tutorials for that. They mainly, are sponsored, and they basically tell you to go to Linode or whatever and just click your OpenStack instance there, or they're just tell you to install the DevStack, the cluster that you only use for teaching and learning. But I found the Ubuntu Canonical tutorial, and it's not, I would say it's not the one I would use myself, but it's worth checking out. Why I wouldn't use it? Well, basically it's it's Ubuntu, and I'm not really a big fan, but that's just like a story for another time. It uses snaps for the software provisioning, so that's for me a yellow light that tells me it's not quite production grade. But those are just my assumptions, and I'm actually curious to see how it will turn out, because the process itself, from what is explained, sounds quite fun. Not that complicated. So I already have my Ubuntu VM prepared, so we can start and go with the tutorial.
Hi, this is Titus Kurek. I'm an OpenStack product manager at Canonical, and in this very short video, I will show you how to install OpenStack on Ubuntu in 5 simple steps. OpenStack is the world's leading open source cloud platform, and its adoption continues to grow every year. Even though it's been with us since 2010, its initial deployment and post-deployment operations have always been a challenge due to the overall complexity of the project. But don't worry about it. In this short video, I will show you how to get a fully functional OpenStack up and running quickly.
So my VM is specified according to this. I have 4 vCores, they are type host. I have 16 gigs of RAM, and I have actually 60 gigs of storage, because almost 10 is took by the operating system. One small thing that happened to me during the installation of the Ubuntu VM, it basically was crashing. The Ubuntu installer, the ncurses, the command line installer, was crashing, and it was crashing whenever I tried to resize the LVM volume, which is super weird. You basically cannot auto configure your partitioning and then just fine tune some things. It basically crashes. What's more interesting is that during the installation, like halfway through, maybe not halfway through because I hadn't told it to install yet, but it basically gave me a message that the newer version of the Ubuntu installer is available. Do I want to restart the installation process to switch to that, which is, I would say, super weird. I would say that the installer is the one thing that should work super flawlessly. And in Ubuntu, like I told you, whenever I tried to resize the automatically provisioned LVM volume, it basically crashed all the time. You are welcome to, repeat this step or check it for yourself and write in the comment, did you also have that issue? But that's not important. Let's proceed.
leaving all its complexity behind. You will only need one physical or virtual machine with the latest Ubuntu LTS installed, static IP address assigned to its primary network interface, 4+ core AMD 64 CPU, 16GB of RAM, and 50GB of storage. We are going to use Sunbeam as it provides the most straightforward installation experience for OpenStack ever. Sunbeam is a new project under the Open Infra Foundation's governance created to set the foundation for zero-ops OpenStack. By using highly opinionated architecture and cloud-native principles, Sunbeam delivers distilled OpenStack excellence in a human-friendly format. You can find all information about Sunbeam at microstack.run. Microstack, based on Sunbeam, is an OpenStack flavor designed for small-scale cloud environments, edge deployments, testing and development, with full commercial support available from Canonical. If you want to follow this tutorial in a written form, navigate to ubuntu.com/openstack/tutorials. There are also more tutorials available out there that you can follow to break the ice with OpenStack. That's it for now. Let's get to the terminal screen.
Oh yeah, and I also assume that this will be a single node installation, which is not ideal for production environment, but just for the current test purpose, we will do whatever they say needs to be done. Maybe later I will delve into the documentation further, and if this, turns out okay, I will try out the multi-node Sunbeam in OpenStack installation.
The entire installation process starts with installing the OpenStack snap. The OpenStack snap...
Okay, so this is what they tell us to do. So we are already as root snap install OpenStack. Do I have to write anything else? No.
Contains the Sunbeam command that will further use to bootstrap the cloud and to interact with it post-deployment.
By the way, do I have the mouse capture enabled on my Edge? No, okay, cool.
And we need to generate and run a node preparation script. This script ensures that the machine has all the required software dependencies installed and is configured correctly for use with Sunbeam.
Okay, so now we have Sunbeam, we do, okay. Prepare node script pipe bash -x and new group snap daemon.
Finally, we need to bootstrap the cloud so that its control plane, data plane, databases, and other components get installed and configured.
Okay, so let's wait a second till our instance is done. Let me skip so I can see the...
Finally, we need to bootstrap the cloud so that its control plane, databases, and...
Okay, Sunbeam cluster bootstrap accept defaults. Oh, okay. So you cannot execute this as root. Okay. So should I guess I should not do this as my personal user, but they are just doing that on a generic Ubuntu user, so maybe it'll switch users midway. Ah, yeah, okay, so this is why the snap daemon group was created. So our user has to be a part of that group. So, okay, so just for the sake of the practice, let's add our user to that group. Okay. Oh, yes, I have to relog. Okay. That's a lot of work that could be done automatically, but okay.
And other components get installed and configured accordingly. Depending on your machine and network connection, this process may take up to 1 hour.
Jesus Christ, 1 hour? Okay, I hope it will not come to that. And while I'll have this promised downtime, let me check out one thing about my stream. Because I am not sure if my OBS works correctly. Yeah, okay. Okay, it should be alright. Okay, so let's allow this guy to tell us more.
In the meantime, we're going to have a closer look at the architecture of Sunbeam to learn what exactly to expect once the Sunbeam cluster bootstrap command finishes to execute. Sunbeam uses snaps as a primary mechanism to install corresponding OpenStack services. This includes typical data plane services such as QEMU, libvirt, Nova Compute, OpenVSwitch, and OVN chases. Those are packaged together inside of the OpenStack hypervisor snap that gets installed directly on the underlying machine. In turn, OpenStack control plane services run as containers on top of microcades, a lightweight Kubernetes, that also gets installed as a standalone snap. Finally,
Jesus, the micro KS installed as a snap sounds like a can of worms within a can of worms. I mean, me myself, I'm not using snaps. I mean, I had one use case for snaps where I wanted to use Slack, the communicator, from a snap package. And it basically irritated me very much because whenever I rebooted my machine, it took Slack to start up around 1 to 2 minutes while using snap packages. If you installed it natively, it basically took off immediately. But with snap, it took it like a minute or two, like literally a minute or two to show up any kind of, you know, sign that it actually is running.
the last class of services, cloud management and governance.
Also, I am wondering if those snaps are running with root privileges, because if they are, that pretty much defeats the purpose of snap.
Services also come in the form of snaps. While the OpenStack snap is a kind of a wrapper providing an interface for bootstrapping and interacting with the cloud, the Juju snap provides all the required operator orchestration capabilities. Both data plane and control plane services are wrapped with charmed operators for operations automation purposes. What makes Sunbeam different from other leading OpenStack delivery tools, such as Kola Ansible, is its cloud-native architecture. While Kola Ansible uses Docker underneath, Sunbeam uses Kubernetes. This allows leveraging native Kubernetes.
I mean, okay, yeah, that sounds reasonable enough. The question here is, what type of container executor does the Kubernetes use in this schema, by example?
Kubernetes capabilities, such as stateful sets, for example, for high availability modeling. Furthermore, while Kola Ansible uses Ansible to install and manage OpenStack services, Sunbeam uses charmed operators instead.
Also, I wanted to try out the Kola Ansible as a provisioning maybe next time, because, you know, with OpenStack this is quite interesting, because everybody tells you how to use OpenStack, how to actually, you know, click around the admin dashboard. But when it comes to setting out the OpenStack, there's like, you know, maybe 10 methods that basically pretty much end up doing the same. But they all are either, you know, deployed on Kubernetes, deployed on VM, deployed on Docker, deployed as Ansible playbook, you know, deployed as Helm chart. There's pretty much no mainstream way of deploying the OpenStack as basically, you know, apt install package. The process itself seems to be very complicated by, you know, the multitude of the solutions you can use to bootstrap the OpenStack. But I think, like, you know, the fact that there are not so many, you know, well documented, and by well documented maybe this is a bad word, but, you know, examples that you can just watch on YouTube. And I think the part of the reason is that they can get quite outdated very quickly, because OpenStack, being the big project it is also a very fast evolving project. So at one hand, I'm not really that much surprised by the fact that there are not so many OpenStack tutorials available on YouTube. On the other hand, I am surprised that, you know, the creators are, you know, not jumping into the opportunity of being able to produce, I would say, very desirable piece of content every year, or maybe every half a year. Because, like I said, the using the OpenStack is not that big of a problem. Setting up properly OpenStack for the production, this is the big hurdle you have to overcome.
It enables packaging OpenStack operations code in the form of software extensions and reusing them across various organizations, industries, environments, and clouds. If we go back to the terminal, we can see that Sunbeam has already installed all the necessary.
Okay, so if he is telling, okay, so basically he says that for him it's done, but for us it might take an hour. If it will take as much time, then maybe I will switch to some game for 30 minutes and we will do that. But let's see. Okay, so where are we? He has the LXD, Juju, Core. So we do not have the micro-KTS yet, or the OpenStack or OpenStack hypervisor. Okay. Okay, so yeah, he is busy. He's busy. Okay, so this took quite an unexpected turn, because I basically just clicked through this tutorial. I do hope that it will be, you know, ready within like next 15 or 20 minutes. But meanwhile, what can we do? So some easy game to just jump into. Give me a second. So Cyberpunk patch 2.0 came out today, but I am nowhere close having you know, GPU powerful enough to actually play and stream and, you know, do whatever with that game. I mean, I have cleared it, but my GTX 1060 is nowhere near as powerful as this game demands. So with the rise of Bethesda's, what's it called? Starfield? Which I was super disappointed with. I fired up my old No Man's Sky, And I had a lot more fun with No Man's Sky rather than with Starfield. So we can, okay, sorry, I will try to set up a scene real quick. And we can play a bit of No Man's Sky. Just a second. Just a second. Oh, okay. So one thing to add would be the voice. So where was my voice? Sorry, it takes so long. Okay, so this is... Okay, application capture. Okay, should be good to go. I'll just move the window so I can see whether the installer is done. Okay. Yeah, actually I might capture the... Yes. Oh, it's weird. Seems broken. Oh. Okay.
Extreme hazard planet. Extreme hazard planet.
Let me just maybe push the game volume down a bit. Because even for me it's a bit too loud.
Extreme hazard planet.
Okay. So I took this... So as you can see, compared to Starfield, this is much better.
Extreme toxicity detected.
I mean, it has some more features that you would expect to have in a game like this. And I know that No Man's Sky had like 7-year advantage, but you know, Starfield also was in production for quite some time. Like in No Man's Sky you have lots of settlement mechanics, some fleet mechanics. It's basically like, I would say, EVE Online 2.0, or maybe a very lacking EVE Online, but still. We can do some little exploring meanwhile.
Hostile ships approaching.
Oh, I hate these. You basically have to complete them in order to not to lose reputation standing.
Missile inbound.
Okay, this side done.
Warning. Civilian shields depleted. Enemy missile inbound. Freighter warp initiated.
Yeah, the funny thing is, it's way easier to actually let him run away than, you know, disable the engines and finish him off completely. Maybe especially with my type of fighter ship.
Critical damage taken. Critical damage taken. Hostile ships defeated. Units received.
Yep, that's done. How's our bootstrapping going along? I mean, I assume it's, you know, mostly due to them having to download gigabytes of those containers. Well, we will see how much the space is taken up after it's done, because I'm actually quite curious myself. I mean, this is what you actually can do when setting the OpenStack. You need to have a game ready just for the initial installation phase. This is the life of a system admin. Also, just a side note, I am not at work currently. It's almost 8 p.m. and I'm off work, so please don't fire me over this little remark. I'm actually looking for some kind of interesting structure to land near on. Because usually if you land on a dry land, then it takes up your booster fuel to lift off. But if you land on something like a landing pad or designated landing spot, then you do not have to pay that cost. You do not have to use up that resource. But I don't think my luck is high enough for that today. You can try and leave the atmosphere for a bit. I mean, also just a side note, I really like how that guy from this Canonical tutorial opened the video by saying, in this short video I will tell you how to set up OpenStack, and then it turned out that it basically has a 1 hour installation gap. It's like, you know, it's like in these cooking tutorials when you prepare the meat, you do everything, and then it's like, okay, now put it in the oven for 3 hours. It's like, man, you could start this recipe with this information. Let me check the progress of our installation. How many containers did it? Huh. So the progress is almost 0. And how much space did it eat up? Almost none. And what the hell is it doing? I mean, he did tell that this may take up to an hour. I'm not sure how long ago did we start, but also, well, it happens. I mean, even today I had a GitLab instance upgrade which took unusually long. Well, it actually took long enough that I planned to start the stream an hour earlier, but because it basically took 20 to 30 minutes to upgrade from, I think, 16.3.3 to 16.3.4, so basically one minor version, I was actually getting quite worried that, oh no, I broke the production GitLab. But thankfully nothing happened. But it also, like, you know, I logged onto the system from another SSH session, and, you know, the load wasn't especially high, the space wasn't, you know, really being used up. I know you can also check this in different ways, but, you know, just from a quick look, I was like, oh no, I broke the GitLab production stack. But, you know, thankfully after additional 10 to 15 minutes, things came back to normal. But man, did I really got sweaty. Okay, so maybe let's actually land, because I don't think we'll find anything interesting that way. Oh, hey. Yeah, I would say that I recommend it, especially in 2023. I would say that, you know, with No Man's Sky, it was more like, you know, I fired up the Starfield for like, you know, I played it for 2 days, and then I was like, Jesus, that game has so many, lacks so many things that have been present in No Man's Sky since, I want to say, forever. They added so many things like, you know, outpost management, fleet management. It's kind of hard, you know, to even scratch the surface of things that are available in No Man's Sky after this much time. And I think that with No Man's Sky it is also No Man's Sky is, I would say, better defined game in terms of what it actually wants to be. Because with Starfield, I feel like, you know, it wants to be an RPG. It wants to be a Fallout / Elder Scrolls type of RPG, right? It also wants to be an exploration game, but the exploration mechanics are terrible, I would say. You know, the fast travel exploration based mechanic is terrible. The RPG mechanics when it comes to talking with NPCs are so outdated that it hurts. And by that I mean the camera positioning, you know, the options, dialogue options, stuff like that. Basically everything is instance based, and I would say that it lacks awareness of what it actually wants to be, and by that I mean Starfield. And with No Man's Sky, you can feel that, you know, okay, the game is a bit smaller in scope, because let's avoid talking about the No Man's Sky, you know, over hype when it launched. It was basically made by a much smaller studio. And even with that, I think that No Man's Sky knows much better what it actually wants to be. It has some mechanics that are basically, you know, simpler, but you can grasp them more easily. You can just, you know, if you want to just do a part of the game, you can do just that right from the bat, right from the get-go. The language discovery mechanic is quite interesting. It was something that hooked me a bit at the very beginning. The planetary exploration, so it's quite cool that you can basically, you know, fly around the planet if you want to, make a full loop. With Starfield you can't do that because everything is instance based. There are not many, you know, sites that you can discover on the planet itself, so it's not like, you know, a lot of reason to actually explore any place more than any other, but still it feels like, you know, they thought that this might be interesting and let's do just that. Also, the procedural generation of planets is quite well done in No Man's Sky. I mean, it can produce some very good looking environments. Basically, some planets, you know, feel the same, but most of those planets are of a barren type. But if you come upon a planet that is, you know, life sustaining, then it's very, very much possible that you will encounter a very cool looking biomes. So for example, I once stumbled upon a planet where I had those, you know, it looked like very generic planet, right? But then it turned to nighttime, and it turned out that the field of grass were not grass at all. Those were fungus, and they glowed like sea waves at night, and only at night. And it looked so amazing that I was actually, you know, baffled that I've played this game for, you know, 20, 30, 40 hours, and this was my first time that I actually stumbled upon something like that. But yeah, so basically I came back to No Man's Sky because I was so disgusted with Starfield. Why is it so foggy? Oh, okay. What? Jesus, what kind of planet is this? Okay, good to know. I mean, I know this is an OpenStack based stream, but we are waiting till till the snap containers get provisioned. So I might also say that, you know, I feel that in Starfield it was very easy to at least do, you know, kind of smooth transition of space flight into the planet itself or into the space. You know, you could basically have like some sort of warping animation whenever you leave atmosphere, but they didn't even do that. Yeah, I mean, Starfield, I do not know why it gets so much praise, especially if you have games like No Man's Sky or other, you know, out there. I have no idea. Also, especially if you have somebody to play with, I think No Man's Sky allows you to play with up to 4 people. Don't take my word on that. But also, if you're into that, you can try Elite Dangerous, which is also, I would say, it's a more... how to say this? It's a more serious type of a space exploration game. Because No Man's Sky, let's face it, it's like maybe not a game for kids, but it's not really that much complicated when it comes to everything. But Elite Dangerous has much more open and sandbox type of environment, and much more sandbox oriented type of gameplay. I mean, also with Starfield, this one thing I've noticed, basically them cheating, because whenever you talk to an NPC in Starfield, you know, the camera switches, but when it does that, it also completely changes the level of detail. So even if you were playing on low, you may have medium to high graphical settings when you're talking to an NPC. Because then they, you know, bump up the NPC faces, their detail. They lower everything in the background. They apply blur to it, and also, you know, the camera is static. The faces angle are static, which is like, you know, if you notice that, then you know that, wow, this is a terrible way to cover up things. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. There are those in Elite Dangerous, those type of services you can buy. So if you fly out on the pulse drive or whatever it's called, too far from the solar system, they can come and rescue you. But this is like sometimes a 30-day operation, like real life 30 days. I mean, yeah, I've heard about that also. That was amazing. I mean, if you want to talk commitment, like EVE Online, I mean, I haven't touched EVE in I think now 4 years, but I'm almost always thinking about coming back to EVE. I've actually fired up the Elite Dangerous a few days ago, and the aliens that were supposed to be the big mystery in Elite Dangerous were now, you know, basically the universe like lore is that everybody is at war with them. So they, instead of being mysterious, started being an outright enemy faction in the game. Which is, I would say, quite okay, because the game has to progress. They cannot be a mystery forever, especially not after how long it is, 10 years that the game came out. Yeah, well, I've used to play, maybe, you know, not at the Excel spreadsheet level, but you know, you have to take up that time during the university lectures somehow, right? You need to fill it up. So I mostly played it as a, you know, a very big casual, so I mostly did NPC missions. I didn't really do much PvP, and, you know, PvP is the essential of EVE Online, but yeah. I mean, to be truth to be told, I mostly played World of Warcraft whenever I had a very boring lecture to sit through. I mean, one guy from my group was watching anime. I mean, just as a disclaimer, I did finish my university, and that guy that was watching anime also did finish university with flying colors. The only people that did not finish uni were the people that played League of Legends, and I don't know why. Because you know, some of them were, you know, talented people, but from my experience, anybody who played League of Legends did not finish neither engineering degree or masters. Thanks, though it was like, you know, 5 years ago or more at this point. Are you also a student? Oh, also maybe, sorry, let me also add the stream overlay. Because it seems like I'm talking to myself. I assume you're also studying somewhere close to information technology? Do you have your engineering thesis done? I mean, maybe not done, because I assume that you are in the process of writing it, so what's your subject? Ah, man, you know, everybody was at some level at some point, right? You know, I would say myself that I am not OP at all. I work with some people that, you know, for me, they are like the monolith from the Space Odyssey, and I'm like the monkey, you know, beating the stick around it. But thanks for saying that. It's quite, you know, assuring that some people find those videos useful. Oh, that's interesting. So what sort of database are you using for the time series, or are you just, you know, saving those as some sort of text dumps? Oh, yeah, that's understandable. I was just asking because maybe you were using, you know, a time series database. I mean, if you have a workflow, if you have a workflow that works with you, then it's fine. What's Kaggle? Is that like some sort of website with datasets available?
Units received. Units received.
Actually, let me... first of all, let me check. Okay, it's still not done. our OpenStack installation. Let me have a quick Google at that. I'll maybe... Oh my, that's quite interesting. Okay, okay. I'll have a look at it later. Looks quite interesting. I mean, I was mostly asking on your time series storage backend because you may find it useful to have something that, you know, is basically a mainstream database with an access, with an API. So I'm not sure if you need it, but you might check out Postgres timescale DB. InfluxDB I would not recommend, but it's also an option. It might be quite memory hungry. But like I said, if you have a pipeline working for yourself, then don't bother. Because what's actually the most important is to produce some sort of results in the thesis and just be done with it. Oh yeah. I mean, it's funny how many time series backends there are. You know, there are some mostly mainstream ones, but if you actually have a closer look, that there are so many of them. And I think that most of them are written in Golang. I think with Golang then there was an explosion of stuff like that, because it was so easy to write even a database in Golang. Yes, Golang is one of my, I would say, favorite languages. I think a year or two, no, 2 or 3 years ago, I wrote market analyzer for World of Warcraft auction house. So basically what I did is I pulled all of the data that Blizzard gave you through API, saved that on my VM, and then I calculated through every item on every realm, on every WoW realm, to find out the metrics like, you know, the standard price, the medium price, the deviation, standard deviation, you know, stuff like that. And then I saved it and displayed it as graphs using Grafana. And the reason I'm telling you is that at first I've prototyped this in Python 3, but after some time I was like, okay, I would actually rather have this written in something that actually is compiled, and I chose Golang because it was, you know, the fastest. For me, it was the fastest to rewrite the solution, and I'm not sure, I think I had 6,000% speed up compared to Python. I'm not so sure. I do remember that the speed up was so amazingly fast, so amazingly, you know, large, that my MongoDB backend was basically, you know, struggling to keep up, and also that was the reason I actually dropped out of MongoDB, because it was, for me, MongoDB is so terrible that the file system is way better for storing JSON documents, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, that project, you know, lived for, I want to say, half a year, and after that, well, nobody was interested in that, because my go-to solution was that I wanted people to create their own Grafana dashboards with their WoW items and stuff. But yeah, nobody was interested, and actual upkeep, you know, the hardware required to pull this off, because I did those calculations for every WoW server in EU and US, so that was, I think, around 76 servers, I think. You know, I would need to have a system with 200 gigs of RAM at least, just to host the database. Because I know that 200 gigs would be required, because with 100 gigabytes, I was running short. It was lacking. It was able to fill up all that memory anyway. But still, it was a fun project. I learned a lot when I was doing it. I mean, kinda. I mean, as favorite, possibly, because, you know, it's always like a conversation starter whenever I am at a job interview or something, or somewhere else. But yeah, I would say that this, or, you know, my currently done home automation stuff, those are one of my favorites. I would say 3D printing, but 3D printing basically encompasses, you know, of buying a 3D printer and learning to print on that printer and nothing else, because everything is printer dependent. And you know, especially with WoW, it was something that, you know, was actually, I would say, a large in scope, and it was something that I wanted to, you know, make available to the WoW community. Well, too bad nobody was interested in, because I was at the time very interested in WoW gold making. But yeah, it's still a project that, you know, made me learn quite a lot. And it did not really took that long to, you know, actually have a working prototype. I think I needed like 2 or 3 days or 2 or 3 evenings to have a working prototype running.
Technology recharge.
Jesus Christ, actually this OpenStack is going to take at least an hour to get done. Have to admit, I really was not expecting that. I mean, this is always so cool looking, but in No Man's Sky, you feel like, you know, the galaxy is so densely populated that basically in every system you have a large fleet like that pop up. It's so weird. I mean, everybody who, you know, ever fire up this live stream VOD will be so confused as to, you know, why is this OpenStack installation tutorial consists of 19% No Man's Sky gameplay. I mean, I hope they'll be able to find the answer in the top right corner of the screen, but my god.
Units received. Units received.
Ideally, I would like to find some copper. Yeah, well, you know, with OpenStack, it's not something you deploy for yourself. Well, with Kubernetes, it's more like you may want to deploy it. You may want to deploy Kubernetes for your home lab if you have such an application. So shit. But with OpenStack, it's mostly for an existing large-scale hardware infrastructure. So if you want to, so basically you want to set up OpenStack if you want to create a cloud that you possibly want to sell or make available to other users, right? So while Kubernetes is, I would say, a managed or distributed Docker instance, the OpenStack is used to manage multiple Kubernetes instances, or multiple, not only Kubernetes instances, but also, you know, bare metal servers, virtual machine managers, stuff like that. And like I said, you don't really want to deploy that in your home lab, because even if you want to, you actually need to have some sort of reasonable resources for that to actually make sense, even if you want to, you know, just to deploy the dev stack to play around. And I mean, there is like a lot of, I would say that there is a lot of what's the word? I've lost the word. There's a large need for, you know, institutions and companies to set up their own OpenStacks, because, you know, I think that the cloud approach to everything is slowly but surely coming to an end, because, you know, the people are noticing that it's much cheaper to buy a beefed up server or two and have everything run off of that, instead of paying a monthly subscription fee to a cloud provider that basically, you know, if you bought a server, then that subscription fee pays for that server within, you know, a year or maybe 2 years, right? Or sometimes even faster. So I think that, you know, for OpenStack, there is like quite a lot of need for more OpenStack administrators and specialists. And I'm surprised that, you know, the YouTube does not reflect that with their tutorials. I would say that OpenStack is meant to be from advanced sysadmins to advanced sysadmins, and that's completely reasonable, because let's say OpenStack is not a use case where you want a complete noob to be able to do it. But still, like, in general, I also think that YouTube is lacking quite a lot of materials that would be meant for semi-advanced to advanced professionals. And also, I'm not saying that, you know, everything should be free, because I guess you can have, you know, your paid course available somewhere else, and on the YouTube only have, let's say, a taste of that, or maybe some sort of introduction. But even that is, you know, I have not seen that on YouTube at all, which I would say is quite a big cake to bite if you actually want it done. I have not checked out the Udemy for that, but I bet they will have tons of courses. But, you know, the question is, will they consist of anything more than, you know, basic information? Yes, yes, that depends quite on the scale your company operates at, but still, the question is, do you want, I mean, like I said, depends on the scale, but the question is, do you want to buy 100 servers and, you know, manage them and handle all of the hardware failures and stuff like that? Or do you want to, you know, have some other company take care of that? And it also depends on how long your project lasts. So if you have a project that is a year or too long, then yeah, of course, you do not want to buy that hardware only to have that hardware be obsolete, and maybe not obsolete, but basically, you know, unused after 2 years, right? But if you have a longer lasting projects, then yes, then I would say you want to buy the hardware. Also, it depends on what sort of data you want to process or keep, because I mean, this is also weird that this sort of risk management is acceptable. What I'm trying to say is that let's say you want to store your client's information, like, you know, name, surname, address, stuff like that, you know, personal info. The most common thing to do is to, you know, have a written agreement with some other company that they will take care of that with the usage of the, you know, most advanced security procedures and stuff like that. But if they ever slip up, you can always point your finger and say, you know, it's not us, it's them. And I am really, you know, I'm baffled that this approach is acceptable even today, you know, and even at the large scale. Because this is what basically happens, right? Like, you know, your service provider has an outtake and you are saying that, you know, it's not us that they hacked into, it was them and it was their fault. And I'm like, yeah, but this is still the company you chose and, you know, you were paying for. So what does this tell me about your company, that, you know, you cannot even choose your partners well enough for that sort of important information? I mean, the risk of loading is such a weird concept for me.
Technology recharge.
Let me check on the progress. Okay. Oh shit, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that it was basically waiting for me to type yes. Because if so, then this is dumb as hell. Then this is dumb as hell. Jesus fuck. No. Okay. So, you know, this is why I think we are doing these tutorials. So basically what happened, I think this is what happened. Yes. So basically let's try SSHing to ourselves. And we had, you know, the standard fingerprint key confirmation pop up. And I think this is what this dumb this command was waiting for me to type yes. And I think that, and also I think I could not, I either typed it, you know, way too way too late, or it could not process my input. So, I mean, I've done that now manually, and I've tried this command again, but Jesus Christ, I mean, I would say this is such an important requirement because I've basically lost an hour. I hope that I've lost an hour so that you do not have to, like nostalgia critic, but anyway, but goddamn. And this was like, you know, the version installation of Ubuntu. So this was like everything that they told me to do, I have done. My God, I think I need to have a small bathroom break. I will be back in a I'll be back in a second. Let me just okay. So I am back. I hope that this new cluster bootstrapping will not take a full hour. But we'll see. Also, yeah, so let me just have a quick check. It does not look like it's actually doing anything. But my God. Huh, okay. So maybe let me switch back to to the main view. So it is basically not able to connect to itself on SSH. Do we even have SSH running? Yes, we do. What the fuck? And I lost my tongue for a second. What I wanted to say is that I only found that out because I pressed enter. I might have let this stupid thing run in the background for another hour, and then I would have another, you know, sudden realization moment. Okay. So this is, I would say, quite important to know. So what can we do to fix this? So let's generate our keys, SSH keygen. Okay. And we will basically add our public key to our authorized keys, which is so so stupid. But I guess this is how it's supposed to be. Okay. And let's do this again. I am actually quite, you know, I'm actually wondering how much of that stuff, you know, what step is this? Because it did install some snaps, right? So I wonder at which point it says that, okay, now I have to SSH to myself. And you know, and be able to and do something, like perform something. So this is quite interesting. Okay, interesting. If when I pressed enter before, it gave me, what the hell? It works without any password or anything. I mean, is me pressing enter doing all of that? I mean, this is a whole other thing. I was not expecting this guide to have those sorts of problems, because they basically promised it's you know, it's an easy solution. What am I missing? I mean, my user is in sudo.
Other snaps.
I mean, they have not said anything about, you know, required, about, you know, having some pre-configuration done on the operating system beforehand. And the error message is so lacking, it's so puzzling. I mean, maybe I'll try rebooting the VM once, and after that I'll try again, because maybe something timed out. when it failed for the first time. What I really don't want to do is to create another fresh Ubuntu VM. Jesus. Reboot faster, please. Maybe now. Okay. Snap list. Okay, so this is something that was done beforehand, and now we can try this again. I mean, just to double check, he's not using sudo because
If we go back to the terminal, we can see that and visible for SQL operations of controller required interface, a lightmizer snap that gets exactly to expect once the Sunbeam cluster.
I mean, this is terrible that they have those subtitles baked into the video, because I cannot, for the Christ of me, see the whole command, but that's not important because, okay, so he's not using sudo. Okay, so let's try that again. And this time I will give it a solid 5 minutes before I press any sort of key or enter. I mean, well then, I guess we're back to No Man's Sky for a bit again. I mean, seeing at how those, you know, tutorial videos or live streams are coming along, I think this will deserve a full channel video at some point. But yeah. While with the Kubernetes and network check, that was quite expected because that was quite an outdated tutorial. That actually still worked if you hard-coded the versions you wanted to have installed. Then this tutorial is a month old. It's only a month old. And I really was not expecting to run into those sort of problems at this let's say basic level. Also, sorry, but I have to pause and mute my microphone every time I blow my nose, because otherwise you would be deaf from what came out of your speakers. It hasn't been 5 minutes yet, but I'm having a feeling that it might be the same sort of problem. Though at the other hand, I also think that it may be working correctly, and me pressing enter basically you know, interrupts it in some way. I'm just looking at that error message again. I mean, it seems to be working all right now. Let me check the snap lists and maybe the H top. I mean, it seems to be trying to do something. Let's see that as a tree. Okay, this is Sunbeam Demon. Where is our command? Okay, here it is. So I am connected via SSH. I am running this command. Yes, it is. Jesus Christ, what the fuck? Oh my god. Okay, sorry, again. Maybe let me switch to the main view. I think I am missing something, but I think I found the step where it is. Okay, I maybe lost the step a bit, but so the bootstrap process is connecting via SSH to our local server, or so to whatever server, and wants to add keys to outright keys, but how did it and wants to make some changes to the system, but how did it want to do that if previously, you know, it was basically hanging on the server key fingerprint? I mean, if this turns out that, you know, because in this video tutorial that I'm checking out, they said to grab whatever stable Ubuntu distribution there is. And if this turns out to be a month-old tutorial that does not tell you to use current version of LTS, then I'll be quite disappointed. Also, there are some comments here that I would say, at least partially, you know, some people got it working. But how did they do it? I mean, at this point, I am quite willing to check out check out the documentation, but I'm not sure what can I do if this is just, you know, the part of this command. Like, what am I lacking? So okay, so let's go through this SSH command that I think is responsible for this not working. So so it tells SSH to connect to our. I assume this is because, you know, there may be, you know, situations where this is used to deploy on multiple nodes, but in this case, it's telling SSH to connect to itself with the Juju ID RSA key and my ID RSA, and then exit. Oh, okay. So I think this assumes we have passwordless sudo. Am I right? Because I think something changed here. So basically what I did was I've input my password, and maybe previously, because I was pressing enter multiple times, you know, I've triggered the sudo failure after 3 attempts. I mean, Jesus, why is this not documented? Why is this not, you know, said in the tutorial? Yeah, that was obviously the fucking case. No wonder it fucking takes you an hour. Jesus. Jesus Christ. I mean, there are so many things missing in this tutorial. I am surprised that anybody got it to work. Because, you know, having a passwordless sudo for my account would be the last thing I would do. Because you need to have passwordless sudo. You cannot, you know, just input sudo once, because this is a whole different process. So it will get, so not really process, it's like a whole different SSH connection. So it will be asked for sudo password regardless. I mean, so at this point, we've wasted, yes, yep, it works. At this point, we've wasted like 2 hours, or possibly you wasted watching me, but I was playing a game, so so we've wasted 2 hours because they did not specify that you need to have SSH key authorized. You need to have a passwordless login via SSH to your local server, even if it's single node, and that you can either set up your sudo to be passwordless, or you can actually input the sudo password by yourself manually. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I think that, you know, that this is no wonder that it took them like an hour. I mean, you know, it can be just configured in the sudo configuration. And, you know, some people do that, but me, myself, I would rather not have production servers with it configured, you know, so it does not ask you sudo password at least once whenever you log on to the SSH session. But the very fact that the tutorial did not specify that, those few small things, as you were, you know, as you saw for yourself, made me waste like 2 hours. Yeah, this may take a while. No shit. We already took a while. I also have to say I would be way more, you know, inquisitive into the subject. You know, why is it taking so long? If it weren't for that comment in this tutorial, this may take up to an hour. Because if this may take up to an hour, I basically would leave this running and, you know, go grab a coffee or eat lunch if I were at work, and come back and see that, you know, nothing has happened. But because it was said like that, it made me like, okay, maybe this actually takes this long, and and I do not have to, you know, worry about anything not working because it's just a long process. By the way, this is like a small comment, but if anybody's wondering why I'm not playing any music, I found out that, you know, while my streams, you know, do not get taken down if I play, you know, anything from my Spotify, they basically get flagged, and I've noticed that, you know, the one stream I have no music playing on has way more reach on YouTube than compared to the ones where I was playing some sort of music. So while those copyright claims are not doing anything, they are just there to show that YouTube knows that copyrighted music was playing in the background with no consequences whatsoever. It actually is visible in the YouTube Studio statistics when you check out the views for the live stream. Basically, the one that did not have any copyrighted music playing has almost twice the views compared to the other two live streams. We will see how it goes with this one in the long term. I mean, okay, so I am pretty sure, let me verify that with the process tree, that this is actually doing something right now. Yes, we can even see that, you know, server is 100% loaded. So just to not make you too bored, we can switch back to to No Man's Sky once again. This time, while we are absolutely sure that, you know, this is actually getting something done in the background.
Sentinel drones activated.
Yep, and now let's run away. I actually have to, you know, start taking notes of the things that went wrong during this OpenStack installation process, because I'm quite sure that I won't be bothered to watch my whole live stream again. So maybe let me do that just now. So basically, what do you need to do in order to have a pleasant experience? So you need to input. Yeah, thanks. Hope to see you again. So I need to have server SSH fingerprint known, SSH passwordless login, input sudo password, input sudo password once, and just to be sure, it needs to be verified with, well, let me just write down htop and process 3. Okay. Okay, so also it seems that it actually has done some work, and it's only waiting for the containers on that microcluster to come online. So truth to be told, this is not an hour-long process. But thanks to the poor explanation from the Canonical, it actually is a 2-hour-long process. This is looking quite cool. I mean, at this point, I just want this deployment to end. I just want to log onto the OpenStack dashboard, and that will be it for today. Maybe I'll come back to this tomorrow and actually do some more. But I have to admit that I really was not expecting this to take as long as it did. I mean, if it turns out that I have to press enter or do some stupid shit again, that I will flip my desk. I swear. What the hell is this? It's moving? Or is it just that large tentacle? What the fuck is going on? I have to say this actually looks alien. Sadly, it's not moving. It would be super cool if those were, you know, walking on the whole planet. I mean, waiting for those containers to start up is also taking suspiciously long, so I might give them 2 minutes or until I mine this gold deposit. But after that, it's investigation time all over again. Okay. I wonder if it says, because it says waiting for services to come online 6 out of 23. So before that it was 1 out of 23. So is it like, is this 23 the number of services that have to come online, or is this like an arbitrary number of attempts it's willing to take until everything works? Because the number itself 23 is way too way too specific for it to be number of attempts, but okay, now it's 7 out of 23. hope this is not a number of attempts. I hope this is just our services getting online count. Because at our OpenStack tree or process tree, I can see many more things showing up. So yeah, Mongo database. Well, I guess at this time it really is a matter of waiting. Okay, maybe I want to land on the daylight side. Oh, here we go. An unknown building. An unknown underwater building. Well, we can check it out. I have not seen underwater building before.
Sentinel drones activated. Now protection falling.
So where was that structure?
Extreme temperature detected.
Okay. Seems you are getting quite a lot of traffic here. Hey, dude.
Now protection falling.
Come and help. Oh, here it is. So they cannot go underwater. Interesting. So where was I? Okay, so they cannot go underwater, but they still can detect me. It's interesting that it's like minus 80 Celsius, but the water is not freezing.
Sentinel drones activated.
It's also interesting that No Man's Sky has this press one button to win fights, because basically it has auto aim. So stupid that they lock you down so fast. And they are out of range, so how did they stop my drives from working? How? Why? Okay, I think I've managed to lose them finally. Oh, a paradise planet. Interesting. And how's it going with our OpenStack? 13 out of 23. So this might actually be the hour-long part. We might run out of fuel this time. Yep. This is so weird that those fleets are everywhere, at every planet, at every distance from a planet in the cosmos. Okay, let's refuel.
Technology recharge. Technology recharge.
And let's continue. Oh, the derelict ship crashed. Yep, landing zone. We can do that, yes please. 19 out of 23, so I think we'll be done. I think the OpenStack might be done by the time I am finished with this site. Which is good, because I actually really want to go back to getting this tutorial done. So those are quite weird to do, because I think that everywhere I've seen it's the same model of ship with basically everything placed identically. But basically what you need to have is some sort of weapon to destroy those damaged panels. Oh my god. And after you empty those cargo pods, you need to run away quickly because the radiation levels are spiking. Yep. Same here. I mean, like I was saying earlier, the No Man's Sky has quite the repetitive content when you actually, you know, when it comes down to that, but I still feel that it's like a game that better knows itself, or better knows what it wants to be. And it also has a quest line that is actual story, and the story quotation in No Man's Sky is way more metaphysical. It's way like, I don't know if you've ever read some sort of Lem's science fiction novels. They feel quite similar to that. That you are placed in some sort of deep unknown, and everything is very vaguely stated. Like you are the prehistoric man in the faraway future. Everything is so alien to you. And this is the way I would describe the No Man's Sky story. So where are the remaining boxes or treasure caches? I think I have to go at it from the other side. Oh. Did not register? Oh, it didn't.
Extreme radiation detected. Extreme subterranean radiation detected.
21 out of 23. Should be done soon.
Radiation protection falling.
Is this all of them, or am I missing something?
Radiation protection falling.
And I think there is one more left. Or not. Well, I think we are actually done. So is there anything interesting in the area? Though I would rather not jump off that mountain, because climbing it would be... 22 out of 23. Almost done. Also, how is this a paradise planet? There is no water anywhere. And the life seems very sparse. Oh? Oh, okay. So... I think we are almost done. Almost, but not yet. But we have to be, you know, pretty close. What the hell? No, screw you. My items. Fighting them might be unreasonable because they might just come in bigger force in each wave. But we should be able to escape them. Is it not done yet? It's not. I think it's I think it's installing the actual virtual machines hypervisor this time. But why is it taking so long? I have no idea. Unless it's again waiting for my goddamn input. I mean, that fleet is not here for me, but if it were, I would have my pants full. Okay, so it seems that OpenStack is done, so we can leave this, come back here, and Jesus, actually proceed with this goddamn tutorial.
Bootstrap command finishes to execute. Sunbeam uses snaps as a primary mechanism to install corresponding environments and clouds.
Yeah, we've seen that.
If we go back to the terminal, we can see that Sunbeam has already installed all the necessary snaps. We can also take a look at our Juju environment by listing
Just to check out. Okay, so it basically takes 8 gigs by default, or maybe 8.5. Let's say 9.
all available controllers, models,
Okay, Juju models, admin controller, and OpenStack. Okay.
and the status of the current model. As you can see, Juju has already deployed all the necessary OpenStack control plane services on microcades using charmed operators. This is how it looks from the Kubernetes point of view. If we list all available namespaces,
Okay, because this is... Jesus, that's quite a lot of info to get through. Especially the Juju status. So it even deployed Ceph. And I don't suppose they expect this to have a Ceph cluster hooked up to this node. Yeah, integration missing. That would be to be expected. Yeah, certification authority, Keystone, RabbitMQ. Okay.
we are going to see an OpenStack namespace that was created by Juju.
Okay. So sudo microcade8s kubectl get name spaces. And here they are. Okay.
We can then list all pods running in this namespace. Here, we are going to see one pod created per each of the OpenStack control plane services being used.
So I guess that with multi-node deployment, this micro Kubernetes cluster gets deployed on multiple nodes, and those are also distributed across those nodes. This is a question for tomorrow. For now, let's proceed.
Finally, we can display pod details to see all the containers running in a pod. As we can see, each pod consists of 2 containers. One of them is
I mean, my guy, you really blow through those, I would say, very important
finally,
commands.
we can display
Okay, so sudo, so maybe, okay, let's get this. kubectl describe pods glance -0 -n OpenStack. Okay, so this output seems similar to whatever he's having.
pod details to see all the containers running in a pod. As we can see, each pod consists of 2 containers. One of them is used to run the service itself, while the other one is used to run its operator. Getting back to our primary terminal window, we can now see that the Sunbeam cluster bootstrap command has finished successfully. At this point, our OpenStack cloud is up and running. We can now use the OpenStack client to execute sample OpenStack commands.
Okay, so what the hell is this command you've just input? Sunbeam OpenRC redirect to admin OpenRC. It also seems to take a bit of time. Oh, it's just variables to be sourced. Okay.
However, to be able to demonstrate
Okay. So those are just our API endpoints, and I think interesting thing to note is that this subnet is internal to the containers. So this is not a subnet that I have configured or that I have managed, right? So this is created for the purpose of containers. Okay.
typical OpenStack capabilities quickly, we need to configure the cloud so that sample records like tenants and images would be created. In order to configure the cloud, execute the following command. At this point, we shall be able to launch our
Okay, my question is, why does it has a demo in the name? But for now, let's just go with it.
first instance. Sunbeam ships with the launch command that can be used for demonstrational purposes.
Okay, so just one more time because I missed that command. Okay. Oh, okay, so it's creating a dummy project user and some networking. So I guess this is only to show that our admin panel will not be empty. Okay, so let it do its thing. At this point, whenever it takes longer than 5 seconds to execute, I'm getting nervous. Taking into account all of my previous experiences. Okay, it's done. So now Sunbeam launch you. Okay, so do I say Ubuntu because my user is named after me, but that first Juju SSH step that we've wasted so much time on, as I saw it there, was creating a Ubuntu user anyway, so it maybe is only to tell the Sunbeam to launch the frontend as the Ubuntu user. Well, let's see. Okay. Yes, so he got it working and I have an error, so let me change this to my user and maybe it will work right now. Huh. Okay. Or this was, or maybe this script is completely not expecting not being run as the Ubuntu user. No, wait, this is OpenStack Nova images. So this is not... Please run Sunbeam configure first. But I did that. I did that with defaults and some demo values. Let's try that again. Okay, this time it was way faster. Unable to request new instance. Please run Sunbeam configure first. Okay, so what happens if I just run Sunbeam configure? Because now it seems that it cannot download an image. Local or remote access to VMs. Let's go with the default option. Haha. You know, I have no idea because must not be in use. OpenStack external network. So this everything here uses 21. And here it uses just 20 and so therefore it is not in use. Huh. Well, okay, let's go with that. Populate OpenStack Cloud with demo user, default images, flavors, etc. Okay, maybe it's actually doing just that, but in the background. Username to use for access OpenStack. Okay, let's go for demo. Let's go for... Okay, I will just input some dummy password. Network range to use for project network. I mean, I do not like this address because I actually have basically the GNS-free network emulator also uses this subnet, but I've disabled my VPN for now. Enable ping as an SSH for external network. Okay. I mean, I'm just going with the defaults here. I'm not really even trying to fiddle with this at the moment. Okay. So I guess is this any different? Huh. What the hell? Well, basically everything here, I would say, matches, other than the domain names. So this configuration only does anything else than to output those export variables for bash for your environment. Okay, so maybe let's try sourcing this again to make sure nothing is overwritten. It still fails. Okay. It's not a binary file, Jesus. Ah, okay, so just my naming skills are terrible. And once again, is this the same error? Unable to request new instance. I mean, well, those people that in those comments here managed to run this either had incredible luck, or they are just seasoned veterans that basically, you know, scoffed at those errors, and for them those were very trivial to fix. Unable to request a new instance. Okay, so just because I am quite, you know, at this point I'm quite a bit, you know, tired, and I think I've wasted enough time, I would just Google this this error message, which is the adult thing to do. And kind of as expected, there is only one page of results in Google. And this means very few people actually tried out this deployment method, I think. So this is a bit discouraging, because if you are deploying something onto a production, you would kinda expect it to have some sort of community support and some sort of issues already discovered and working through. But with this, I mean, actually, what does the launch command do? Because help. Okay, so launch and then image name. So I can guess that maybe Ubuntu, there's no typo here. Because I'm assuming that what we are doing is that instead of doing this from the horizon or from the web dashboard, we are doing something via the CLI.
Once the command finishes executing, you should be able to find all the necessary SSH details in the command output. You can use them to connect to the instance.
Okay, so basically this is the point where they're actually launching something on their instance of OpenStack. Okay, so let me go back here. Do we have Horizon dashboard here? No, I don't think we do. Do we have something listening on 80 or for free? No. So this is a headless instance of OpenStack, I think. Well, I was not expecting that.
And here we go. We are now connected to our newly launched OpenStack instance. We can use typical bash commands inside of it. For example, we can check its uptime. To disconnect from the instance, type exit. Apart from the OpenStack client, we can also use the OpenStack dashboard to interact with the OpenStack cloud. In order to obtain the URL of the dashboard, type the following command.
Okay, so maybe let's try with the dashboard. Sunbeam dashboard URL. Okay, but this is... I was not expecting this IP, this subnet.
Then, open your browser and go to this URL. You will see an OpenStack login screen.
Oh my god. Oh, I hate this because they basically assume you are installing this on a fucking Ubuntu with GUI. And I am not doing that because who in their right mind would do that? Oh shit. Well, yes, yes, Canonical. This is how I provision OpenStack. I basically first install Ubuntu with full desktop environment so that I can have, you know, web browser running within it, so I can actually deploy production grade or whatever type of OpenStack. So I can access it from my local host. Yeah, thank you. Can I redir? Do I have redir even? Because this would be the fastest if it were working. It did not work with Kubernetes and Ranger, but who knows? Is 444 taken or not? It's not. 10, 20, 21, 10, 80. And let me just see if it works. If it does, then I will show you the browser window. Well, wow, it actually works. Okay, so basically, just to explain a bit, this command redir basically redirects TCP packets that come on this port, and if you do not specify IP address, it basically assumes that it has to listen on all the interfaces. And I found that it only works with IPv4. It does not support IPv6 at all, even though it looks like it would be a very simple fix. And then redirects the traffic to this internal network and this port. So this is just way faster than writing your custom NAT rule. Okay, so now I have to show you that window. And I hope everything is visible now.
We can obtain the password of the demo user that we created previously in the configure step by taking...
Okay. I'm not sure whichever thing I've sourced last. We can try with what he
a look into the demo RC file.
Okay, so I did not source those lastly, so I will... Yeah, well, wait a Okay, so let me just try one more thing, but I think I think I've noticed something. Oh, this field is required. And he has it auto filled out and I don't. Sorry, had to blow my nose. Okay, so domain maybe users. Let's try my dummy password. Okay. And don't tell me this can block me out from logins. Or give me a shadow ban. Because if it can, then I will be very, very sad. Oh my god, would you look at that? It actually worked. It takes ages to load. I don't think it even loaded properly. Okay, sorry, I need to blow my nose again.
Command. At this point, we shall be able to launch our first instance. Sunbeam ships with the launch command that can be used for demonstrational purposes. As the command finishes executing, you should be able to find all the necessary SSH details in the instance. And here we go. We are now connected to our newly typical bash commands in we can check its uptime. From the instance, type exit. Apart from the OpenStack client, we can also use the OpenStack dashboard to interact with the OpenStack cloud. In order to obtain the URL of the dashboard, type the following command. Then, open your browser and go to this URL, you will see an OpenStack login screen. We can obtain the password of the demo user that we created previously in the configure step by taking a look into the demo.rc file. Type demo as username, the password provided, and users as domain name, and press the sign in button. This will open an OpenStack dashboard landing page. Now if you navigate to Projects, Compute, Instances, you shall be able to see the instance that we've just launched. And that's pretty much all for today. I would like to thank you very much for your attention. I hope that this quick tutorial helped you to break the ice with OpenStack. You can now follow other tutorials that are available for you at ubuntu.com/openstack/tutorials to learn more about the world's leading open source cloud platform and master it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us for community help. You can find us at discourse.charmhub.io. If you found a bug in Sunbeam, please report it at pax.launchpad.net/snap-openstack. Sunbeam is a quickly evolving project, and your feedback is very much appreciated. One more time, thank you very much for watching this video. Looking forward to meeting you at the closest possible occasion. Bye!
Okay, so I only just noticed that I was muted for a bit. So I was coming down hard on this tutorial for not having everything explained, but truth to be told, this is like one of the actual few tutorials on how to set up OpenStack from scratch. It is basically a promotional video for the Canonical and their Sunbeam as a method of deploying it, but still, this is something that, you know, most people will actually come across when they want to deploy OpenStack for themselves. And from everything considered, those issues I came across were not that severe. I still, got done with, let's say, pretty much working OpenStack instance. Let me try maybe launching the instance from the web UI, because for this tutorial to have a passing grade, we should be able to launch anything. Let's launch one. Let's give it 4 gigs. Okay, let's use Ubuntu and flavor. Okay, let's check out the tiny one. Okay, I don't think we need actually anything from here. And let's launch the instance. Unable to create the server. Okay, well, you know what? That will be it for today. What I'm going to do, I will come back tomorrow. I will install everything all over again, this time with, you know, the acquired knowledge of how to actually do it, so it actually, you know, gets done after executing the command. And then I am going to snapshot the VM, and I think something might have either, you know, went wrong with my repeated attempts to install the OpenStack from the Sunbeam, or maybe I have messed something up when I was sourcing the bash environment variables. So I think something might be an issue there. Actually, before I sign out, let me just try one last thing. Let me reboot the whole virtual machine. And if that does not help, I will do exactly what I just said and will come back with this tomorrow. Because I think this is actually quite interesting thing to do, just verify those tutorials and how do they actually work, especially with this tutorial being only a month old. And like I said, I don't really blame them for not saying everything as the narrator. I mostly blame them for, or maybe not blame them, because this is actually an open question. Has this been this way, let's say, a month ago, and now something has changed in the deployment method that basically made me discover things I did discover today? Or were they, like, you know, doing this in a controlled environment and basically forgotten about some steps that I had to do? But anyway, if you are releasing a tutorial and you already have, after a month, steps that are missing from your tutorial, then it's not really that good of a tutorial. Okay, I think it's done. Rebooting. It is. So let me refresh that dashboard. So the question is, does it take time starting up, or do I have to once again acquire the dashboard URL? Ah, yes. The Redir is not started up. But still... Okay, so this is quite interesting. Let me go back to the CLI. Sunbeam inspect. Oh yes, obviously, because I love reading my logs in a compressed archive format. Snap. I mean, seeing how this is going, I would be very careful with using this as a production deployment. I mean, I don't really want to read those right now, so, because I'm quite tired. So let me just try getting that dashboard URL again. Maybe it was starting up. What we are lacking. So what we are lacking is that we can source admin and try that again. History, grep, Sunbeam. This history not reboot persistent? What the hell? What were the commands that guy used to check the... Oh yeah, because maybe those containers are still starting up. Micro, K8s, cube, CTL, get pods, and OpenStack. Yeah. Yeah, I think it just takes like a few minutes for everything to actually start up after reboot. Yeah, yep. I was right. So let's redir that again. Also, since this time I've sourced the admin and only admin, I mean, it does take a while to load, just so you see. And like I said, it might still be not fully started actually in the background, so yeah, I mean, this is taking just its sweet time to load, so I will not be wasting more time for this today, especially your time if you're watching. So like I said, I will try to redo some steps again, and I will try to come back to you tomorrow, because sadly for today I did not manage to even launch an image instance. Oh, okay, it worked. So one last try. One last try. Launch instance. It's actually weird that it autologged us. No limit, okay. Source. Okay, so this time volume is selected, not image. Okay, but we have to use image, okay. Volume size in gigabytes. Let's use 4 like before. And the micro tiny flavor launch instance. And we have the same error. Okay, so sorry. Like I said, I will try to check out what's going on and we'll come back tomorrow. So thanks for watching and I hope I see you guys again. Bye bye.